Hello, all my crafty people out there. It is time for our weekly project. If you have not been here before, my name is Stephanie and I upcycle clothing. Generally things I thrift from my local stores here, sometimes estate sales, and we either make new clothing, accessories, or something in between. So this week I got very lucky. I found this in the wild, as we say. It was $3.89, which is my kind of price tag. What it is a very long linen dress. Simple, sleeveless. It's got a little collar. It's got a little split on the side with the button. It's super cute. It's just had its day and someone's like, yeah, I can get rid of this. I've worn it out, but it's really not. It's in great shape. So, black linen dress, $3.89. This is where I spent the money. The idea I have requires several different colors of fabric. So, I went and bought half yards of all these different pretty bright colors. Now, this is broadcloth. It's a poly cotton blend. So, I've washed it all and ironed it, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to shrink at this point because it's that blend. So we have, was that 1, 2, 3, 6 colors that we're going to be using with our black dress. And you'll just have to wait to see what we're going to do. If you want to follow along, by all means do. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll see y'all at the table. Okay, everybody, here's a close-up of our dress. It is called Studio Ease, and it's a petite, so it's going to fit me in the length at least. I've already tried it on. It does fit. It's a rather long dress. It's got something down here at the bottom, little spots, but that is not going to be a problem because of what we're going to do. Now, I got this idea just scrolling through Pinterest, and I thought it was really cute. I would like to put some circles on the bottom of this dress in 2 rows, and I would like for them to be open and colorful. So this was an example I did when I was trying out the process. It is not the best by any means, but kind of like this, and then of course the center will be open. And I wanted to put 1, 2, 3 on each side, front and back. And I'm going to do them in different colors. Obviously, they're not going to be repeating. And then above that, I'm going to put 2 more on each side for a total of 10 circles. 4 at the top, 6 at the bottom. The only debate I'm kind of having right now is these down here can't be any more than about 7 1/4 inches wide in order for me to fit all 6 down here. But I thought about changing this one up to about another inch, maybe an 8-inch circle. And that would give me a little more filler and also just, a little variation. So that's the only real question I've got right now. Other than interface or not. This is poly cotton blend. I don't think it's going to be a big wrinkle problem, but even with me doubling it, I'm worried about the thinness of it. So I may put interfacing on one side of the circle because it's going to be 2 whole circles together, sandwiched, sewn around. So let's get started with the process of cutting out 10 circles. Okay, first things first is we need to cut our circles. We need 10 of them. And I'm going to use this little tool. You've seen me use this before when we were doing, way back when we did the flowers on the jeans, the sunflowers. It's an excellent little tool. This is my sticky cutting mat. It's sticky because I put this old machine embroidery, and I say old, I can't find this exact one. It's a Sullivan's. There's probably a replacement out there or one that's more current. This is just an old can that I have, but it's machine embroidery adhesive spray. Helps keep your pattern in place or your fabric in place when you're embroidering. And it's 16 inches wide and 11 inches this way. So actually 17, 11. So we should be able to get 2 circles because I'm setting this at 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 inches. So this is 4 inches. That's half the circle. And it's making a 7 1/4 inch circle when I use 1/4 inch seam allowances for the inside and the outside. Don't worry, it'll all come through. So I'm going to take my first color, and I'm actually going to do 2 of these because I want to. This is one of the colors that I'm going to duplicate. In other words, top and bottom. I'm going to pull it over, nice and even as I can. Let the adhesive do its job. Stick it down. Yep. And then we're going to feel for the edge. Take our little pointy thing off. By the way, that thing's sharp. And so is the blade. And I'm going to pull it. I'm going to try and kind of center it where I know it won't go off the edge. And it won't come off this edge. So that's good. And you just kind of poke that little pointy part in and let it do its trick. And it should be, sometimes I have to go over it, but it gives me a pretty good circle. Oop, that one's a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to make 4 in the pink, orange, blue, and green. And then I'll make 2 of the yellow and the purple. And we'll start sewing them together. And yes, I am going to go ahead and do interfacing on one side. So I'll cut my interfacing in the same manner with this process. So I should have enough here to do my second one. It'll be a little close. Let's just make sure. All right. Yep. The adhesive on the board obviously just keeps things nice and straight while I make this cut. Oops. Yep, that one cut through. And I have a lot of adhesive on this side because I just sprayed it afresh. So it's like, ugh. Oops, a little snag there. Voila. So let me continue on again, and we'll meet back when it's time to sew them together. Okay, now I'm going to apply the interfacing to one side of each of the circles. So I needed 10 pieces of interfacing. Fortunately, I had some. This is lightweight interfacing. It's not heavy by any means. I just wanted to give it a little more stability. And the way to iron this particular brand on, it's a Pellin, is to steam it. So I'm going to put my ugly but efficient press cloth. This is just a piece of cheese. It's not a cheesecloth. It's a dish towel. I think I got at Walmart in packs. So I'm just going to lay that over that. I've already lined up all of my interfacing, and I am going to steam it. And then I'll steam the rest of them, and we'll be sewing circles. Okay, we have all of our circles cut out and the interfacing applied to one of each of the circles that we're going to be sewing. So we're just putting interfacing on one side. So I have them facing what would be right sides together and the interfacing out, but this is broadcloth. The sides are exactly the same. So that's not a real mystery other than making sure that the interfacing is facing out so that when we turn it, it will be on the inside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these over and I'm going to sew complete circles all the way around the edge. And the reason I'm not leaving a hole to turn is because we're going to cut it and turn it from the middle. That piece is not concerning us. We're going to end up cutting it out anyway, so we can make a complete turn around these circles without having to worry about the turning process. So I'm doing a 1/4 inch on all the sides. And yes, I cut them all the same size. So we're going to work with this. I'm not going to cut 4 of them 8 inches or 8.5 inches and the rest of them 8 inches. We're just going to go with consistency. Now, of course, you can do that change up if you like. You can do a different shape. So again, going to the machine, sewing around all these circles so we can turn them inside out and press them. Okay, time to sew our circles. Again, interfacing is facing out. See? And we're just going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around the edge. Nice and slow. Okay, I just want to let y'all know that now I am going to take all of my 10 circles and I'm going to hit them up with the pinking shears around the edges to make sure that when I turn them inside out that seam isn't too bulky and it will turn easily and press down. So 10 circles, heavy pinking shears. My hands are not going to be happy. Okay, made all 10 circles, pinked the edges. My arm is not going to forgive me anytime soon, or my hand. They just don't make light pinking shears. I don't know. I guess it's the nature of the beast. So I'm going to take each of these and I'm going to cut a hole in the center. And when I cut the hole in the center, I'm going to turn it inside out. So I'm not going to make a very large hole. This is the template that I have created that's going to be the center. You see how much space I've got there? So I can cut anywhere in this circle here, obviously, to turn it. Even if I wasn't very careful, I got it too big. Well, no, I need it to be small. I need it to be small. So I'm going to go to... Sometimes it's easier to fold it in half and fold it in half. Kind of get an idea where that center is and just pick it up and clip it. And maybe clip it this way and this way. And then we're just going to pull it inside out. Takes a little maneuvering. I didn't make the hole big enough on my test one. It took me forever. And then I take one of my specialist tools, which is usually some kind of pencil, and just run that edge to make sure that seam's pushed out. And that's my circle. And what I'll do is I'll press these and then we'll decide where we want them on the dress. So this will take me a little bit. Okay, here we see that I have done a mark 2.5 inches above the bottom of the hemline. And I'm just settling the pieces in, kind of gauging where I want them to be. We are pinning them to the inside of the dress. So the dress is turned inside out right now, so we can sew them down. When we finish sewing them down and cutting out the center, then we will flip the edges out to the right side. I've also got the interfacing side of the little circles facing the dress, so you'll see the little openings that we used to turn the circles in the first place. But again, I'm just gauging where I want them to be. Okay, I almost forgot. Okay, so I did forget, but I'm remembering now. Before you go to the machine, you got to figure out where you're sewing, right? You're not sewing around the outer edge. You're sewing a circle in the center so you can flip them out. So I told y'all earlier I had this little template I made, and what it is just a piece of, I don't know, you could probably get this at Hoblob, but it's just like a thin piece of plastic. And I cut the circle out that I want to be in the center, kind of gauging how wide I wanted the circle to be. And then I put a couple of little markers at each side so I can line it up really easy. So essentially what I do is I'm going to line it up here. Make sure that my little lines aren't too far off. Take my marker. And draw my circle. Of course, my pens are in the way. All right. Now that is the circle I'm going to sew around and clip the center out of so we can push these out to the right side to make our circles, our open circles. So don't forget this part. If my little rotary cutter is set to 8 inches, this is, I think it's about, I think it's about 4.25. Yeah, 4.25. I just gauged how wide I wanted my circles to be on the outside. Okay, I got the first 3 at the bottom one. And now I've got to work on the top 2. And now what I've done is I've kind of spaced them 3/4 of an inch apart this way, and this way, and this way. And this ends up to be about an inch apart, maybe a little less, which is fine. It's an eyeball thing at this point, just making sure that we kind of get them lined up. Now these are going to be tricky to put on. And I know that because I haven't opened the seam, but we're going to give it a try. I was able to get this one on all the way over here, but I know it's still fairly open. So I'm going to pin these on, take them over, and give them the same treatment, sewing them around that little circle in the center. And hopefully it won't be too difficult, but we're going to see. Okay, it was not as bad as I thought. In fact, they went in pretty easy. The slit was enough. I could have even unbuttoned it, I guess, and got a little more movement out of it. But it was plenty of room for me to get in there and sew down those circles. So this is the arrangement I'm going to do on the back. And I'm trying to make sure that I space them away from each other as far as it won't be one of those things where it repeats around. Like this is the yellow. Here's the pink. The pink is up top over here. So, you know, they're not close to each other. And 6 colors does that perfectly. Okay. All my circles are sewn on the back and the front. And what I want to do, I've thought about using our little tool to cut the circles out, but you'd have to be a little on the precise side. And I don't know if I could stabilize it. That sticky board really helps stabilize it when I'm cutting around, and I'm afraid it would buckle and I wouldn't get a clean cut out of it. So give it a try if you feel brave. You only get one shot. So I don't feel brave enough. So what I'm going to do is I am going to cut out each of these by hand. I'm telling you, my hand is completely going to reject me tonight. Cut them out, and then we'll turn them into the right side. But I'm going to cut them and try to cut them probably a 1/4 inch, maybe even smaller, closer to the seam. And then I'm just going to clip them with the scissors. I'm not going to use the pinking shears because that would be really difficult in the circle. And yeah, no. So cut out, clip, turn. That's what we're going for. Okay, I have them all cut open, cut the circles out, and cut it very close. This is actually more like maybe 1/8 of an inch. And then I clipped them, which was a lot of fun, just to make sure they would turn properly. And I did test one. It's going to turn fine. So what we'll do is we'll take each one and we'll pull it out like that. And then we'll go and press them all before we sew them down. So this is the magic that we've been waiting to get to, or trying to get to. And once I get them all turned out, again, I'll press them and we will be ready to sew them down. I'm just doing a straight stitch around the edge. I'm not going to do a zigzag because this is a finished edge. It doesn't need anything to protect it from fraying. Unless you want that look, and you are welcome to it. Obviously, you could make it a decorative stitch if you wanted to make it really cute. I'm just looking for the circles to make the statement, not the stitch around them. All right, everybody. What you think? Big colorful circles on an old black linen dress. I think it brought it right back to life. You could have done all kinds of variations. You could have done different shape. You could do more rows, smaller circles, different size circles, more of them, less of them, whatever you like. This was just kind of my vision. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, by all means, like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.